Hi guys, Steve Capozzi out here at the back of my garden under a tarp. This is my experimental base camp setup. I can do some experiments out here and so forth. I'm going to talk about Charcloth very quickly. I always believe, I advocate keeping ember producers as a portable fuel in your pack whenever you're out camping. Your first choice, and ember producers include fine steel wool and Charcloth, two examples. Now my first choice, if I had to choose between one, I'm going to choose steel wool. Steel wool is much more convenient, you keep it for a long time, you just buy it. There are a lot of advantages with Charcloth. You can make it potentially, yes, it ignites at lower temperatures. For example, a flint and steel can light Charcloth, so there are advantages for Charcloth. But I'm not too hung up about Charcloth. It seems to be a bit of a fad in the bushcraft community. My first choice would be steel wool, and if I don't have Charcloth, I'm not too worried. For you, have Charcloth. Make it, learn how to make it, that's fine. Have both, steel wool and Charcloth. But I don't believe Charcloth is necessarily an absolute necessity. And the reason is, if I'm going out for a trek, camping, whatever, and I don't have Charcloth, I'm not worried. I'm not worried at all. I'm going to have steel wool plus my other methods to start fire. Charcloth isn't a game breaker, it's not a game changer. But by all means, I've got no problems with Charcloth. You can make it anywhere, with a steel tin of course. I know what I'm talking about. You know, I've made Charcloth, here's my steel tin, open the thing up, and here's the Charcloth here. You know, no problems at all making Charcloth. I know all about it. But it's just not a major necessity. But just to prove I know what I'm talking about, I'm not some, you know, poser on YouTube who doesn't know what he's talking about. I've made Charcloth, no worries at all. But I'm going to go one step further. I'm going to make Charcloth without a steel tin. Okay? So I'm going one step further. What I'm going to use is a bamboo container, closed at one end. I've stuffed it full of an old handkerchief I had. Okay, it's stuffed full of a handkerchief. I'm sure there's a million videos on YouTube about making Charcloth, big deal. So I'm not going to reinvent the wheel, but let's try a challenge. I've never seen this done. I've never even watched a single video of making Charcloth. Okay, I've learnt how it's done over time, and as you can see, I've got my steel tin, I've made it, big deal. And I've never seen this before. Now there might be videos on YouTube about making Charcloth in bamboo containers. I declare I haven't seen any. This is my idea, we'll give it a go. It's going to get messy, but let's go. I've got a relatively green piece of bamboo. You need green, it's going to withstand more heat. You put that, well, you don't put that in a fire, but hopefully it's going to sit next to a fire and still work. I've got no idea if this is going to work. I need to plug the end. I'm plugging the end with mud. I've got some red clay here and some water. Now this is going to get messy. I'm just doing this off the cuff. Hopefully I can make a nice spongy sort of ball. And I'm pretty sure this is nice clay. It's red, sticky, and you can make a ball out of it. And someone's calling my mobile phone, great. Now hopefully that's enough. We're going to make a ball, and we're just going to plug it like that and mould it around. I'm just going to let that dry for a bit and keep it under this tarp to stay dry, just in case it rains. My bamboo container's been plugged up by clay. I've got to drill a hole now, a small hole in this container. You know what it's for, to let the hot gases out and so forth. Maybe I should have done that first. Okay, we'll put that on a bit of wood, keep the clay end off the ground. Just using my knife. all things that I've got potentially out in the field. I've got to wear this to stop the mosquitoes. I'm being hammered by mosquitoes and small bugs. If I stay in one spot for 1 minute, you are just hammered by mosquitoes and bugs. I've broken through a small hole with my knife. Bamboo is quite thick, especially these big containers, so it took a bit of work. So there's our hole here. I'm going to let this clay dry and we'll come back, make a fire and see if we can make some charcloth. It's the next day. The clay seal has shrunk. It's dried, it's shrunk, and I'm not sure whether it's actually going to provide a good seal. Just put more clay around that edge. I'm going to overlap the clay onto the bamboo more. I thought I did that yesterday, but obviously it shrunk and there's no overlap over the edge of the bamboo. I've got to say also as a general comment that working like this with clay and so forth, it's something I haven't seen in all these bushcraft survival videos. But I should talk more about clay, because clay and so forth can be very useful to make all sorts of containers, even houses, waterproof. It's something that's been used for a long time throughout history, and just like I'm doing now, so I may have to look more into clay as a sort of survival / bushcraft skill. There might be videos on YouTube about that, but I haven't seen any. Alright guys, I've had to put some more clay. It's now, by the way, the next day. Put some more clay, make a better seal. I want to make sure that's sealed up properly. The clay does shrink, so that's a lesson learnt. And this sort of proves I'm doing this off the cuff, one time. No practice, no lessons, see nothing on YouTube at all. Well, I'm going to let that dry again, and we'll keep going.